कि किसी ने आपको अच्छा बोला तो आप एचआर को रिपोर्ट करोगे, पता है उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसे कपड़े क्यों पहने। अरे बात तो सुन लो, इतनी क्यों एज पे रहती हो। मैं परसेंटेज की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, नॉट ऑल द वुमेन आर लाइक दैट, बट दिस अग्रेशन, दिस डिमांडिंग नेचर इज ग्रोइंग क्वाइट अ लॉट।
मतलब मैंने बहुत बचपन में सुना है, मेरी मॉम के टाइम सुना है कि स्कूल जाती थी तो और कोई उनको अगर छेड़ता था तो पहले उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता था कि तुमने क्या स्माइल पास की थी क्या, तुमने कैसे कपड़े पहने थे। सो दिस इज द विक्टिम ब्लेमिंग बट विद अ डिफरेंट मोर डेकोरेटिव वर्ड। दैट्स इट। शी इज सेइंग कि तुम्हारे पास इतनी एंटाइटलमेंट हो कैसे गई कि तुम्हें कोई अगर अनकंफर्टेबल फील करता है तो तुम जाके एचआर को कंप्लेन कर सकती हो। बी हम्बल, बियर इट, बर्दाश्त करो इसको। नमस्ते, स्वागत है आपका इंडिया दिस वीक के नए एपिसोड में और मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट आमना अंसारी।
Hi, this is Khalid Beg, and welcome to yet another episode of India This Week by Amna and Khalid. Today, we're joined by Sharika Kaul. Sharika Kaul debuts with us today. We've known her over social media for a lot of years. Amna's also had the pleasure of meeting her in person, but I'm meeting her first time, at least face to face, over Zoom today. Sharika comes from the world of corporate affairs, and she has done a remarkable story of saving those businesses which were just about to shut. And you can Google it. Moneycontrol.com is something she can be credited by reviving them when they were about to go bust. But along with that, what Sharika does is that she runs this not-for-profit organization called Ek Saath Foundation, in which she helps the downtrodden, the lesser privileged, who are victims of abuse, primarily women, but men too. So Sharika, that is one of the reasons why we thought you were apt for this episode, because we've read your post over the years on social media, and we admire the work you do with the Ek Saath Foundation. But we've also found that you're very objective, in the sense there are no generalizations in your write-ups, right? So there is this video of Marathi actress Sonali Kulkarni, which has gone viral in the last 1 week. Millions of people are talking about it. And that seems very different to the world which you're catering to, the slums, the chores, the girls who don't have it, and you're trying to build them and, make them come to par, at least to those gated communities, and, get those opportunities. So it's a little long. I mean, even though 4.5 minutes is not, but we'll go 1.5 minute each. And this is what Sonali said.
में बहुत सारी लड़कियां आलसी है, उनको एक ऐसा बॉयफ्रेंड चाहिए या ऐसा पति चाहिए जिसके पास अच्छी नौकरी हो, जिसके पास घर हो, जिसको अश्योरेंस हो कि उसको इंक्रीमेंट्स मिलने वाले हैं। लेकिन उस लड़की में इतनी हिम्मत नहीं है कि वो कह पाए कि मैं क्या करूंगी जब तुम मुझसे शादी करोगे। आई वॉन्ट तालिया ऑन दिस।
Right. So, I want to get into this first. So there is this world you spoke about, right? But there is also this reality which she is speaking about, which is inhabited by the sections of rich, ultra rich, higher middle class India in the metro cities, where I mean, who the women who have reaped the benefits of liberalism, progressive, movements, feminism, and which today have landed them at par, where they're not fighting for those basic rights of, like, the girls you deal with, domestic abuse and fathers abusing, husbands abusing. And yes, there is this one section which you know has now unfairly put these burdens on the strata of the men who inhabit that strata of the economic strata. And I think as long as people don't misinterpret Sonali Kulkarni here, she's right. I mean, I see it in the higher middle class circles where the woman's like, okay, what's this husband going to get? And social butterflies they are. The whole life revolves around only parties. There's no other identity. I'm not saying partying is a bad thing, but I don't know why Sonali Kulkarni is getting so much flack, which of course she's not generalizing. She's speaking about this one section, which right now does exist in India, right? So Sharika, your perspective on this particular.
Okay, so when I saw that that video clip when it began with, बहुत सारी लड़कियां आलसी है, when you rightly pointed out, I looked at it from the kind of women that I deal with. And I also look at it because from the point of view that I know personally, and people I don't know personally, and generally speaking, you look at the train travelers in Bombay. Mm-hmm. Now, this is, if you look at the women's compartment, you have 15 to 20 lakh women who are traveling. 75 lakh commuters in Mumbai trains. I think that's the statistics which I read once. I think 75 lakhs or 80 lakhs. Out of the 15 to 20% is women, and they travel for work. Mm-hmm. I remember going at early mornings at 5, 6, 7, early in the, traveling the train. I see women taking a nap and tired, and you get to talk, because my nature is to talk, so I engage with these women, and they tell, many of them get up early in the morning, get up at 4 or 5, they make the bus for their husband, they make the bus, they put in the basic prep work for the food, they make the food, they make the bar for the kids, then they make the bar for themselves, and then they kind of go to work, they catch up on some sleeping in the train, a little bit of nap time, they go to work, come back, if their workplace is great, fine, if the workplace is not great, still they stick with it, because many women understand that single income is not comfortable, in many households. So women shoulder those responsibilities with men, whether it is they're motivated, self-motivated, or they are motivated by their circumstances. So they take up those, they take charge. So when I look at women, I see this class of women. Okay. The women who work every day, who share the workload of their spouses. So these are working women who are traveling. Then there is a class of women who don't work, I mean, that comes from our generational ethos, the culture that we have brought up in, where women are taught that, your end game is, in many families, is marriage. It's not work, it's not education, it's marriage. So if you study too much, how will you get a husband? If you work, if you make more money than the husband, how will you get a husband? So these are facts which are existing in many families, and many families have evolved, where they send their girls to get educated, so they get a job, they get self-employed, they are financially independent, and that's the project that we are doing. I have the men and women that I have come across when we fund projects, they are auto rickshaw drivers, civil workers, kadiya, electricians. Men come forward कि मेरी बेटी को मुझे पढ़ाना है, कि वो नौकरी करेगी, अपने लिए वो पैसा बनाएगी, और वो मतलब इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाएगी. In their own words, they say that. So it's not just that the women who are supporting the girls, the men also I have found, and men are, I have found kindness in men in such weird places. You think that, only people who are, like you rattled off quite a bit of, these words, upper class and, rich class and elite class, and, so liberalism is in these classes. That's what we read, but that's not true. That's not true, because I've seen a lot of low income, people from the low income classes. They may not have those technical qualifications, and let us not confuse education with technical qualifications. What we get in our colleges is technical qualification. Lot of technically qualified families harass their sons as well as their daughters. They do that. Obviously, women, there are a lot of cases of domestic violence that women go through. But when we talk about families, when we talk about domestic violence, it is not just marital violence, which everybody focuses on, but it is also parental violence towards their children. Right? So there is a broad canvas of things. So when somebody says that, बहुत सारी लड़कियां XYZ हैं, so that person is talking perhaps from her vantage point, from what she is seeing. Right. And, everybody will obviously, because people get affronted, how can she say this? Because facts are otherwise. Year on year, we are seeing women are becoming more empowered. Women are, I'm not talking about the bad stuff that we read, But yeah, they are getting more educated. They are taking up work roles in workplaces. They are trying. They fend for their families. So there are a lot of positives, which are happening. And see, when you say lazy, the word lazy, it is not gender specific, right? If you say it's not gender specific, बहुत सारी लड़कियां हैं ऐसी lazy, बहुत सारे लड़के भी lazy हैं. That is the other part of the statement, which is not being made, because she's talking from her vantage point.
Right.
But how many men, after they come home after working, do they come home and they help? We expect them to do that. That's a separate issue. But the woman, she's, let's say the stay-at-home mom, right? Now situation is such, and I've written it in my post as well. Earlier, women were not allowed to work. And I'm saying not allowed. Even now, many women are not allowed to work.
Right.
And now you have a situation where we said that women should be allowed to work. That is their fundamental right. And there are now women who are saying that we don't want to, for many reasons. That we want to raise families. There are women who are highly educated, who are in the workplace, who go back to being homemakers, and raising kids. And to them, is a class of people who say, "Oh, you're so educated. How can you leave your job and do this?" So now women are getting squeezed both ways. अगर उनको पहले चॉइस नहीं है और जब वो चॉइस इस्तेमाल करती हैं तब भी उनको गाली दी जाती है, और जब उनको चॉइस नहीं है तब भी उनको गाली मिलती है. So I think I think we have to be a little circumspect when you make these statements. Not everybody is XYZ. There will always be pockets of people like that. So.
Right. So we'll now get to the next part of the speech, and Amna, you can get in there.
आपके घर में ऐसी लड़कियां, ऐसी स्त्री निर्माण कीजिए जो एबल है, जो अपने आप के लिए कमा पाए, जो कह पाए कि हाँ हमें घर में नया फ्रिज लेना है ना, आधे पैसे तुम दो, आधे पैसे मैं दूंगी. मैं झगड़े नहीं कह रही हूं, कि झगड़ा करने की बात नहीं कर रही हूं, लेकिन उसमें इतनी काबिलियत हो. क्योंकि मुझे बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं, मेरी एक दूर की दोस्त है, मैं डिटेल्स नहीं बताऊंगी, लेकिन वो लड़का ढूंढ रही थी शादी के लिए. उसने मुझे कहा कि 50,000 के नीचे तो नौकरी चाहिए ही नहीं, और अच्छा होगा कि वो अलग रहता होगा. किसको चाहिए सास ससुर की झंझट, और उसके पास 4 व्हीलर तो होनी ही चाहिए. मैंने कहा तुम कोई मॉल में आई हो, तुम्हें एक इंसान चाहिए कि कोई ऑफर्स चाहिए? इट इज सो ह्यूमिलिएटिंग. और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 18 साल के जब हो जाते हैं लड़के, तो उनपे प्रेशर रहता है, मर्द बॉयज, तो उनपे प्रेशर रहता है कि अब पढ़ाई खत्म होने को है बॉस, बस हो गया मस्ती मजाक.
Amna, your response to this?
मतलब इतनी सारी चीजें एक साथ है ना, उसमें मिक्स कॉम्प्लेक्स बना दिया है. She wants women to behave like the Western women, कि वो 50-50% वाला हो. But the same time she has a problem कि अगर लड़की बोलेगी कि ससुराल वालों के साथ नहीं रहना है. When you talk about the Western society, तो वो अपना अलग घर बनाते हैं जहाँ बीबी मियाँ दोनों कमाते हैं, दोनों 50-50% इक्वल इनपुट देते हैं, जहां फिर आदमी भी हाउस होल्ड उतना ही 50% करता है. एंड द तीसरा पर्सन यानी उनके जो पेरेंट्स हैं, नोबडीज पेरेंट्स कैन इंटरफेयर इन देयर लाइफ. तो या तो ये स्ट्रक्चर की बात कर लो, या फिर जो इंडियन स्ट्रक्चर की है वो बात कर लो. तो शी इज मिक्सिंग एवरीथिंग एंड शी इज जस्ट थिंकिंग फ्रॉम आई फील लाइक अ मिसोजिनिस्ट मैन इज सिटिंग देयर इन अ वुमेन के क्लॉथ में और बैठ के वहां बात कर रहा है अपने पर्सपेक्टिव से. ठीक है.
कि आप 50,000 की नौकरी ढूंढ रहे हो, लेकिन खुद आप नहीं कर रहे हो.
फर्स्ट थिंग, the fact that women have to leave their house and go and live with the men house, this is the misogynist. ये अपने आप में मिसोजिनी है. जब आप वो चीज नहीं बदल रहे हो, तो ये पूरा बदल देना है कि जहां लड़की पूरा 50% कमा के देगी. ये कौन सी बात हुई भाई? अगर लड़का थोड़ा ज्यादा फिनेंशियली बर्डन उठा रहा है, आई फाइंड इट वेरी फाइन. आइदर जो इंडिया का पूरा मैरिज स्ट्रक्चर है वो बदलो फिर ना. फर्स्ट लड़के को भी बोलो घर छोड़े, लड़की भी घर छोड़े. नोबडीज पेरेंट्स शुड बी इंटरफेयरिंग देयर. दहेज जो लेते हो सबसे पहले वो बंद करो ना. हर शादी में दहेज होता है, लड़की के घर वाले दहेज के साथ भेजते हैं भाई. कि हमारी लड़की इतना पैसा लेके जा रही है, तू खिलाएगा तो हमारी बेटी का इतना ऑलरेडी वो है। वो फ्रिज वगैरह मोस्टली लड़की के दहेज से ही आया होता है, पति देता ही नहीं है पैसे। ठीक है, लाइक दिस इज लाइक सच अ बुलशिट शी इज टॉकिंग। I'm sorry to say, there is no survey in India about the women, कौन लेजी है कौन नहीं है। I get it, you find all kind of women. Women can be evil, women can be criminal, women can be anything. But then there is in every sector representation. If you see the mafia, mostly they are men. Women कम होंगी वहां पे, राइट। इफ यू सी द हाउस होल्ड का वर्क ज्यादा औरतें होती हैं, आदमी हाउस होल्ड में इंडिया में कम हाथ निभाते हैं। और जब हम पब्लिक लाइफ की बात करते हैं तो 30% इंडियन वुमेन भी पब्लिक लाइफ में काम नहीं कर रही हैं, विच इज द फेलियर ऑफ आवर नेशन। डिस्पाइट हैविंग द लीगल, हमारा लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी है, लॉ हमारे सारे बेस्ड है ऐसे, बट जब हम बात करते हैं सोसाइटल स्टैंडर्ड की, सोसाइटल माइंडसेट की, यू कैन सी मिसोजिनी इन एवरी स्टेप, जहां विमेन को इतने राइट्स नहीं मिले। एंड देन यू सी दिस काइंड ऑफ लेडीज कमिंग फ्रॉम थिंकिंग दे आर वेरी इंटेलेक्चुअल एंड गिविंग सच अ बकवास ज्ञान। आई एम सॉरी बट दिस इज जस्ट रैटलिंग टू सी इट। मतलब क्या ही बोलूं, हर तरफ का बेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड चाहिए इनको, ऐसा कुछ है, हो गया है। जो पहले ना, सबसे पहले मैरिज ही जो है स्ट्रक्चर वो बदलो इंडिया का, इतना इक्वालिटी तुमको चाहिए तो। एंड लेट मी टेल यू, इवन आफ्टर दैट अ वुमेन इज गोइंग टू बियर द चाइल्ड। 9 महीने पेट में औरत ही रखती है, वही पैदा करती है। दुनिया खत्म हो जाएगी अगर औरतें बच्चे पैदा नहीं करेंगी। तो यू हैव टू गिव द बायोलॉजिकल रियलिटी ऑफ वीमेन। वी ब्लीड एवरी मंथ मैन, स्टिल वी गो टू द ऑफिस एंड फाइट फॉर द इक्वल, यू नो। ऑफिस में जाकर के वहां कम काम नहीं कर सकते, ये नहीं कह सकते कि मैं ब्लीड कर रही हूँ, आई एम गोइंग थ्रू दिस बायोलॉजिकल यू नो रियलिटी ऑफ मी, तो मैं कम काम करूंगी। वहां ऑफिस में उतना ही काम करना पड़ता है, डिस्पाइट हैविंग दिस बायोलॉजिकल जेंडर डिफरेंस। ठीक है, अब अगर एक औरत 9 महीने बच्चा पैदा करती है और रखती है पेट में, उसकी पूरी बॉडी चेंज हो जाती है। यू नो हाउ बिग चेंज इज दिस दैट। और इसको भी लोग अंडर प्ले करते हैं। सम टाइम आई थिंक अगर ये मर्दों को होता ना, इफ मैन हैज टू बियर द चाइल्ड, तब देखते कि इस पेन को कितना बढ़ा चढ़ा के बताया जाता, बिकॉज दैट हैज बीन हैपनिंग इन हिस्टोरिकली इन ऑल द वर्ल्ड। जो काम औरतें करती हैं उस काम की वैल्यू घटा दी गई है इस दुनिया में। डू यू नो दैट? ये हिस्ट्री रहा है कि जब आदमी लोग, जैसे शेक्सपियर वगैरह, जब वो लोग लिखते थे लिटरेचर, तब लिटरेचर वगैरह की वैल्यू बहुत ज्यादा होती थी। देन विमेन एंटर्ड इनटू दिस सेक्टर एंड दे स्टार्टेड राइटिंग, तो इसको डिमीन करके देखा जाने लगा। देन साइंस की वैल्यू बहुत ज्यादा हो गई। इस तरह के हिस्ट्री भरे हुए हैं। तो औरतों की वैल्यू इतनी नीचे की गई है कि जिस काम में वो बेहतर होती है उस काम की वैल्यू घटा दी जाती है। दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव बीन फेसिंग। वेल्थ, जनरेशनल वेल्थ हमें नहीं मिलता आया है, हिस्टोरिकली हमेशा हम डिस्क्रिमिनेट हुए हैं। एंड देन पीपल आर कमिंग एंड टॉकिंग लाइक दिस शिट, तो दिस मेक्स यू एंग्री, यू नो। सॉरी टू से।
Control, Uday, control. Sharika, your viewpoint on this. Again, I want to get into the angle of
No, but
she's
one
speaking
thing
from
I
her
want to-
vantage point to a section of affluent Indians, which I'm saying is not even 90, is not even 10%, but then she has her, right?
No,
See,
but I want to
wouldn't.
let me
Huh.
finish. I want to add more things, something. So the thing that laziness, why it making me angry? Because there is a stereotype of women, gender stereotype, जिसपे बहुत research भी हुआ है कि laziness क्या है women के साथ। Mostly people think staying at home, working for the home, taking care of child is a laziness. बाहर का वर्क और वो काम करना ज्यादा टफ होता है। देयर इज नो पैरामीटर टू चेक इट। एक सर्वे हुआ था लांसेट का, उस सर्वे में आया था कि यस वीमेन आर अ लिटिल मोर लेजियर। उस सर्वेंट का परसेंटेज ये था कि 34 women आर लेजी इनएक्टिव रेदर देन मेन आर 28%। तो उस सर्वे के हिसाब से भी 4% का डिफरेंस है। लेकिन 2018 में ही एक और सर्वे आया था जिसमें कि बोला गया कि 10% जो विमेन बाहर काम करती हैं, दे वर्क 10% हार्डर देन द मेन टू सर्वाइव इन द सेम जॉब एंड सेम गेटिंग सेम पेमेंट एंड एवरीथिंग, सैलरी। एंड जो वुमेन बाहर काम करती है ना, उसके बदले में ये होता है कि उनको इतना एक्स्ट्रा हार्ड वर्क पुट करना होता है कि वो मेन का 1.7 टाइम ज्यादा काम करती है, बिकॉज देन मेन डोंट participate in household work. So there are so many reality around it. Plus, when she's talking about ki women are choosing men based on their salary and all the stuff, she's not talking how men choose women based on her, you know, look, how she looks. वो जो ब्यूटी डिगर होते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि men are like some बच्चे छोटे से, वो अगर जानते हैं कि लड़की आ रही है मेरे पास मेरा सैलरी देख के, तो वो भी देखते हैं कि सबसे अच्छी वाली माल कौन सी है, then they go for it. So there is a reality from both sides, so you should acknowledge that as well. Yeah.
Sharika, your view?
Evolution wise, men choose a mate which is best suited to them. So they look at me, they see a lot of things, and women also, look at documented traits which are visible. अभी कोई इनर ब्यूटी देख के शादी नहीं करता इंडिया में. इंडिया में अरेंज मैरिज का मार्केट अभी भी लार्ज है, काफी लार्ज है, एंड फैमिलीज गेट मैरिड टू ईच अदर.
Right.
So, I mean, you say that, you create able women. What does that mean, able women? That only is monetary working outside and, performing those duties and being compensated for it. Is that the only benchmark for judging whether you're able? I think in the world, I think we need to shift the way we see what kind of work, can be classified as being value, and we, like Amna said, घर का काम अगर औरतें करती हैं, so we don't value it as much as a woman who works outside. And then we say we want people, better quality people to be raised. Now then again this thing comes, that is this only the woman's job? Looking in the cultural and the social context, women are the ones who take care of families. So is that, how do we devalue that? How do we say that, oh, what work you're doing at home, if you're taking care of the family, you're taking care of people at home, raising children, you're supporting the husband, how do you devalue that and say, okay, that is not worth anything, and you have to go out and work, only then you will be judged, and you will be like a productive member of the society, otherwise you are worthless. So it is the system which actually creates these kind of ideas, and we have transitioned the word housewife to a homemaker. And I keep asking, why are we calling housewife homemaker? What does that mean? Is housewife a bad word? I mean, our previous generations, many of them were housewives, but they have raised families, they've raised us, and they've taken care of us. What is wrong in calling, women housewives? But yes, homemaker, the word sounds much better because you want to give it respect. But the fact is, housewives per se have to be respected because they're doing a tremendous amount of work. It's mundane, it's hard. I mean, in COVID, if not in COVID, I think men would have stayed at home, they would realize the amount of work that women do. And it's not just the work at home, but it's also work at the office. So now you have double work that women do. And when the lady, she talks about, you should be able, and you should be able to buy a fridge and things like that. At the same time, if she could have just said, for men, if women are working, can you also please don't be lazy, please shoulder some responsibilities at home so that the woman can go out and work. So many women, and trust me, this is all women who have told me, they lead such high powered lives outside of the house, then they go home and they have to manage a whole lot of things at home. They have to manage the in-laws, they have to do the work, bury the kids. Husbands don't participate in all of that. So when we talk about helping women become able outside of workplace, we also have to teach men, and men are in many places, they are taking up a lot of the shouldering a little bit of responsibility at home, but men also have to be, the narrative has to be built that you, if it's a partnership, then you also have to contribute at home. You can't say that you like the money, but you will not help the woman take care of the house, and you will not participate in that. So there are so many variables when we speak about these things. It's not a very black and white situation, which is what she has kind of portrayed it to be. So it's highly complex. I'm not going to get into the cultural aspects of it and things like that.
I have one question, Sharika.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking about men and women participating equally in a household, in the earning, in every matter, but I feel like why then women and men have more responsibility towards men parents? Then the same responsibility should be shifted to women parents as well.
Like you said, if you want this equal thing that you can, if you want to buy the fridge, you can buy the fridge. And trust me, it's not so easy that for women to I mean, I think she's used it as a metaphor. But I think culturally, I think we still value taking care of the husband's family over taking care of the wife's family. And a lot of women are literally traumatized because of this, because many times they are not able to take care of their parents. The many men and their families have issues with women when they take care of their parents. At times when you have women who are single child, then it becomes much more complicated and much more awful. Imagine that they're old and then you're not able to, you're in a different city and you're not able to look after them. So I mean, there are so many things to fix before you say that, yeah, but at one level, I get what she's saying, that, but that is not gender specific. I don't believe that, using these adjectives both genders have to collaborate if you want the marriage to survive. Great marriages isn't about being lovey-dovey. It's filled with chaos, and both parties, they collaborate and they coexist, and they understand that both need help and they contribute equally. So even if and my main grouse here is to say that a woman's worth is defined by the amount of money she brings at home. My main grouse is that, because then you are devaluing everything that lakhs and crores of women have done in the previous generation, and they're still doing that. And essentially, she has said that if you yourself can't buy the fridge, you're worthless. तुम हमारे पास फ्रिज खरीदने की, और फ्रिज 20,000 का था, तुम नहीं खरीद सकते हो ना, तो तुम्हारी कोई औकात नहीं है घर में. Essentially, she has said that. But in passion, I think, I know Amna will not agree.
No, not like that. I'm learning even.
People say a lot of things, but you have to, many women have got upset. Many men have also, I think, would have gotten upset as well. And
many men have, like the men's rights activists are like, "Ye Sonali is the new hero."
Yeah, but because okay, so when we look at crime statistics, very simple example of how skewed all of this is. It's only when it is reported is when the numbers come up. Right. You talk to women who travel in the train. Now every woman would have said कि 19-20 हो चुका है उसके साथ. Everybody. There is no woman who would say कि she has not gone through some kind of harassment when she's been traveling. And once in a while, it has maybe in a lifetime, but it has happened. And many women go through it. There are people who deal with it, because you travel in the same time zones and timelines. So you meet the same people. You know that guy is So there is this thing. This is not reported. A very minuscule percentage of it would get reported to the railway police. Because women, we don't have time. Now, people will say, why didn't you go and report it? But the laws, the system is so cumbersome. It is so hard. So it's not very easy to report. So what happens to all of these women who do not become a statistic, who go through all of this, and then still they buckle up and then they kind of go to work, they deal with a lot of things and they come home and things like that. So, so that is the other side of the coin.
Right.
So
Amna, don't get angry. We'll just play the last part now.
हनीमून तो होगा तो फॉरेन में होगा, और अब तो पूछो ही मत. डेस्टिनेशन वेडिंग्स हैं, प्री वेडिंग शूट्स हैं, रील्स हैं, उसका सारा खर्चा वो बॉयफ्रेंड या होने वाला हस्बैंड ही उठाएगा. क्यों? अगर आपको ये सब ऐशो आराम की जिंदगी चाहिए तो आप क्या कमाओगी? आपको भी खुद को आप पढ़ो, आप नौकरी ढूंढो, आप जाओ 4 ऑफिसेस में, पूछो कि क्या मुझे काम मिल सकता है. ये नहीं होता. और लड़कियां ये बोलती है कि तुमने मेरी तरफ ऐसे क्यों देखा. ये थोड़े ना हक होता है. आपको अप्रिसिएशन भी नहीं चाहिए. आपको किसी ने आपको अच्छा बोला तो आप एचआर को रिपोर्ट करोगे, पता है उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसे कपड़े क्यों पहने। अरे बात तो सुन लो, इतनी क्यों एज पे रहती हो। मैं परसेंटेज की बात नहीं कर रही हूं, नॉट ऑल द वुमेन आर लाइक दैट, बट दिस अग्रेशन, this demanding nature is growing quite a lot, wherein I feel that we have to just look at the situation with a certain amount of humbleness and equality, that you also owe something to the family. Bills भरना सिर्फ आपके हस्बैंड का काम नहीं है। आप बोलो ना कभी कि तुम छोड़ो यार, अगले 6 महीने तुम्हें छुट्टी है, देखो क्या स्माइल मिलती है।
ये सब कर रही है ना, मतलब कहाँ नहीं कर रही है। एग्री स्पेस में आप देखो, औरतें सुबह उठ के काम करती हैं, घर में देखो लोग वो काम करती है, वो उसको खाली उसको मॉनेटरी वैल्यू आप नहीं दे रहे हो, लेकिन काम तो करती है ना। तो मतलब ये मेरे थोड़ा, मैं समझ सकती हूँ उसका, वो शी इज पैशनेट अबाउट व्हाटएवर शी इज सेइंग, एंड यू नो लाइक आई सेड, शी probably she experienced certain events and certain facts, and she is putting that to the larger group, which is not the right way to see it. You know, when we say all men are XY, you know, men are like this, then some men say, "Arey, hum to aise nahi hai." So, you know, so I would, you know,
there are so many
Amna, specifically on these lines
I'm
of
not
Sonali,
absolving
she's spoken
her.
so much. I don't know what is it that you want to speak. What has
I'm
she
just
said here?
saying-
She said about ki pre-wedding photo shoot, reels, तो तुम उसकी मदद क्यों नहीं करते हो। हाँ, one thing where I disagreed with her, she said कि अगर कोई कंपनी में कुछ बोल दे
तो एचआर को
तुम
क्यों
जाके कंप्लेन करोगे।
तो
She
एचआर
could have
को
said
नहीं,
किसी ने कॉम्प्लीमेंट दिया, बट अगर ये तो it's making it seem like if somebody makes you uncomfortable, go and tell the HR. ना, this guy was staring at me, he was gazing at me, he was like, you know, catcalling
Sexual
me.
harassment is I think, if she's saying that,
she is basically saying women have not sense to judge, basically.
No,
who is saying from
no,
her,
I don't think so. She's saying that.
She's saying that women are
again, that
entitled.
section which is
She's
on the edge.
no, she's saying women are too entitled and too demanding. I don't know what that means, but if you, in my this, I always tell, look, at times you might find an opportunity where you feel that you are being made uncomfortable, or you feel that you're being harassed. You have to take it on there and then. You have to, yes, report it as well, but you can't not respond to that negative stimuli. You can't not say that, you know, I will not respond to it. I think that is where women have to be empowered. And she's actually, I don't know what she's saying. I'm a little confused at what she's saying, but you know, I think women,
this is what she said is a basically
अपना edge पे क्यों रहती हो तुम?
because हाँ, basically what happened, this has been happening with women, कि अगर वो बाहर जाती थी ना पहले, मतलब मैंने बहुत बचपन में सुना है, मेरी मॉम के टाइम सुना है कि स्कूल जाती थी तो और कोई उनको अगर छेड़ता था तो पहले उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता था कि तुमने क्या स्माइल पास की थी क्या, तुमने कैसे कपड़े पहने थे। So this is the victim blaming, but with a different, more you know, decorative word. That's it. She's saying कि तुम्हारे पास इतनी एंटाइटलमेंट हो कैसे गई कि तुम्हें कोई अगर अनकंफर्टेबल फील करता है तो तुम जाके एचआर को कंप्लेन कर सकती हो। बी हम्बल, बियर इट, बर्दाश्त करो इसको।
So she has just put one point of view where, as far as women are concerned, she has not covered the other aspect of things, and I think that is the incompleteness in the story, which she has not. I think she's apologized as well, because for whatever reason
she has apologized.
Yes, I saw some. I think there was some statement, I think, which is again
I want to get both of you in the sense that she said कि आप बोलो अपने husband को 6 महीने सब मैं कर लूंगी और smile, तो उस पे what do you guys have to say?
बिल्कुल करना चाहिए। इनफैक्ट सती सावित्री भी बनना चाहिए, हस्बैंड के लिए जान भी दे देनी चाहिए। नेक्स्ट अगर हस्बैंड की जब डेथ हो तो वी शुड गो एंड सॉरी आई एम बीइंग अ लिटिल एजी हियर, बट आई थिंक देयर इज सो मच, I think she even don't understand whatever she wanted to say. She could have said it in a very better word. I do agree that women can be wrong. There has been issue. Women even file cases against their husband and in-laws sometimes just to get revenge out of it. So there has been instances like that. There has been instances where women have a lot of housemaid, and they don't do much, they do shopping. We see that kind of things also, but then their husband are fine with it. sometime I know that जो ये होते हैं क्या बोलते हैं इनको बनिया आई डोंट नो दैट कायस, तो
Grocers.
उन हाँ तो उनके यहाँ ये एक स्टैंडर्ड है कि जिसके घर में जितनी बहू के पास नौकर रहेगा, जितने वो जेवर पहनेगी, शॉपिंग करेगी, दिस सी इट एज देयर फैमिली स्टेटस होल अराउंड। सासू माई कहती है कि नहीं तू ऐसे कर, तू ऐसे कर, सो दे सी इट। तो एक ऐसा भी सेक्शन है, तो वो सब चीजें हो रही है। देर आर वीमेन हु आर वेल एजुकेटेड, बट उनकी एजुकेशन ही सिर्फ इसलिए है कि to get better husband who can provide something, but वो mindset family से ही बना हुआ है। Sometime women feel कि they are not, they just want to be a housewife despite having uh, all the resources and everything. They just want to be because they can, their family can afford it. But even when they do that, it doesn't mean कि वो घर पे ही बैठी है. She is going to be a mother. She's going to take care of the kids. She's going to despite having all the support, she's going to manage the हाउस। ठीक है, जिनके पास होता है, मेन में भी, उनके भी बहुत सारे ड्राइवर होते हैं, उनके दे नॉट गोइंग टू गो ड्राइव, उनके भी घर, उनके बहुत सारे हेल्पर्स होते हैं, बट देन दे मैनेज देयर बिजनेस ऑल्सो। सो देयर आर सो मेनी नुआंसेस इन देयर। वी कैन टॉक अबाउट कि यस, आई हैव सीन दैट अ लॉट ऑफ women, even not a lot of, but there are women instances who use feminism just for their own profit, and they even don't understand what feminism actually means. वो इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं, बट व्हेन यू सी इन द बिगर पिक्चर ना, तो पहले ही इतना हिला हुआ है जो बैलेंस है, राइट? तो वहां पे जब कोई औरतों को ऐसे बोलने लगता है, तो वो लगता है कि भाई आई गेट इट, देयर आर problematic people, but you have to be very proportionate while addressing it, because women aggressive हो रही है यार, men तो इतने aggressive हमेशा से रहे, पूछो मत, how you will compare that, right? तो हम
एज पे मत रहो।
ठीक है। So even I see, I'm not saying कि we should just give up. In fact, I say कि every time a woman use feminism for her own profit, every time even she uses law against men for, I mean, just to get her things sorted, blackmail or anything, वो पूरी औरत जात का भी नुकसान कर रही होती है। But then you see the same time कि law get used by all the men against all the each other. सब यूज करते हैं, बट वो मेन जब करते हैं ना यूज, तो फाइन है, लेकिन विमेन कर दी तो दैट गेट यूज अगेन एंटायर विमेन, कि तुम लोग होती ही ऐसे हो, टू जेंडर स्टीरियोटाइप। गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? व्हेन लोग कहते हैं, वो क्या नाम था उसका, नुसरत नाम था या क्या, जिसने एक शादी की या कुछ किया, एंड शी डिडंट इवन कमिट,
वेस्ट बंगाल में
हाँ, बट
एक्ट्रेस
उसने
है,
कोई क्राइम नहीं किया था, उस पे इतना लोगों ने ट्रोल किया। मैं बोलती हूँ, आपके पार्लियामेंट में रेप अक्यूज बैठे हुए हैं भाई, जिनके ऊपर केसेस है रेप के। व्हाट आर यू कंपेयरिंग विद मेन एंड विमेन? बहुत अभी फर्क है व्हेन वी सी इन द रियलिटी। तब मुझे थोड़ा गुस्सा आता है, बिकॉज यू कैन टॉक अबाउट इट बट बी प्रोपोर्शनेट। इट शुड नॉट बी यूज टू discredit everything women are fighting against, because still entire country is so misogynist, still we have to fight on so many fronts. So ठीक है, you talk about it but be proportionate. That is my problem. That's why I sometimes get angry, because then those वो बोलते हैं अपने आप को men activist है, but they are clearly misogynist. ठीक है, तो वो उसको बड़े अच्छे से इस्तेमाल करते हैं।
See, I see, Amna, you are highly experienced. I mean, you are highly intellectual, knowledgeable about many things compared to, I mean, even me. I mean, you have a serious amount of intellect. But she's a civilian and she made certain statements. Now, you know, I mean, I'm not defending her. But people have a habit of making these general statements, and then then it doesn't kind of gel well when you are attributing one specific negative trait to the entire gender. Just like men take offense when we say all women face harassment, so not all men harass. Yeah, so there's always that affront that men take. So I think when we make these kind of statements, certain balances have to be made. But when you're talking it, I think people kind of talk without, putting a little perspective to whatever they are saying. So I would take everything, all of this with a pinch of salt, because whatever I see in my workplace defies all of whatever she has said. It's completely ulta. So I don't know for me, I say, okay, आपने बोल दिया उसने, and but that's not the truth. The truth is very, very different. It's so evolving. हमारे यहाँ पे local area में we have grocers who where women जो गल्ले पे बैठती हैं. We have cobblers where women काफी साल पहले, मतलब I was just walking and she was sitting with, I said, how are you sitting? I was like really shocked. 4-5 साल पहले की बात है. एंड शी से क्या करेगा, पैसा का जरूरत है, ये काम करता है, तो मैं भी बैठ गई, मैं भी सीख गई. तो आपने इसको सिखाया क्या? बोला हाँ, मैं सब सिखा दिया उसको. शी एक्चुअली डज द शू का काम एंड एवरीथिंग. सो आई सी women where they shoulder these responsibilities and they support the husband. And sure, look, in both genders you will have a section of people who misuse the power that they have. Power, when we talk about the domestic violence, it's not just male dominated. Women also, and I would probably get a lot of flack for this, but in, let's say, parental violence, a lot of women who abuse their daughters and their sons as well. This happens. We don't just discuss it because it doesn't sit in the narrative. So this part of the violence we never talk about. We only talk about marital violence, and we talk about intimate violence and things like that. So I think one would probably comment on things that one knows. So she knows this, so she talks like that. I know differently, so I take it with a bucket of salt of what she's saying. But I'm not denying that these kind of people would exist who misuse, right? So now you see in gender violence also, now in the last 20 years, women they have access to information, they have become more empowered in terms of backing of their families. They're more educated, they understand the law, they understand how to play the law, and then they misuse the law. Just like what Amna said, men have been doing it for a very long time. I'm not saying both are, just because this has happened, this is happening, both wrongs, two wrongs don't make a right. But violence this is what it is. If you have the power, and if you are ethically corrupt, then you will tend to misuse that power. So I think at the core, what we need to teach our girls and also teach the men as well is that we need to have a little bit of compassion for the other gender when we are cohabitating, and we need to look at there was a very fabulous movie which I didn't come. It was a South Indian film which I think about food. I'm not quite sure the name of the film. She gets married into this family, and after some time, the men of the house, they eat the food and they leave the eaten food behind, and she has to clear the plates. And she has seen the mother-in-law, I think, do that without any issues, but then she realizes she has to वो जूठन उसको साफ करना है. It's such a act of it's such a, I think, to touch the juthan and to clean that plate out, and typically you would use a spoon, but at that point of time, it struck me as well that many women have to deal with this as well. And so it's a very simple thing of aggression that she has to face, but that's something that, so these are very small things that families and genders can do to each other to become more compassionate. And I think money is an important facet of life. People have to make money, but there are so many other things which which help in the application of money as well, that needs to be taught. It's not just the money which is you go out and make the money, but there are so many other things which are important to make the money. I think those also have to be taught as well. So.
Sharika, you do this fabulous work with Ek Saath Foundation, right? And mostly, primarily you work with people of lesser privilege, right? The have-nots. And there are these fascinating stories you have written about, and the best of human nature and the darkest of human nature. And like you said, abuse is not just marital abuse, right? There's parental abuse and all. So we'll wrap this up in the last 5 minutes now. We want you to talk about 2 incidents in which you saw the best of human nature. Explain that story to us, what it was, what was the strata, who was the worker, what was the profession, and the worst of human nature, which surprised you. 2 anecdotes, if you could share with us, we could wrap this up.
Worst of human nature. Okay, I met this girl. She was a few years back, and she was 13 years old when she got married to a 26-year-old man, or 29-year-old man. And it was her mother who got her married against her wishes. And she came to me when she was 18 or 19 years old. She said, I don't want to be married anymore because he essentially uses me just for sex. I mean, and why did she get married? Because her mother was frightened that वो भाग जाएगी. So this has happened in Bombay, and she was when I met her, she was trying to do some course where she was trying to get independent and things like that. She said, मैं छोड़ दिया उसको, मेरे को नहीं रहने का है शादी में, and things like that. वो आके मेरे को बोलता है, but I will not. So, she was so strong. This is wildness is there, and there is so much strength in terms of and it stayed with me because all those things happened to her before she was 18, and she was still standing there and trying to make a better life, and trying to do better for herself. So I mean, you want stories, many such stories. Another one who's highly qualified women who stay in abusive marriages for 20 years, and they don't even they understand that there's so much of power play which is happening with them. There is so much of violence which is happening with them. They don't have the courage to go through it, and they're going through it and they don't have the courage to walk away. And then we have a conversation and we have to share. I mean, these are qualified women, highly postgraduates who are taking the violence, and then when we have a conversation and they realize, boss, this is never going to end. It's me, and then tomorrow it's going to be my daughter, and then one fine day you get a message that I've left. So I've moved out. So these are, and there are so many stories like that where we come across women who are trying to cope with this violence in their families, and sometimes they realize, sometimes they don't realize it, and all we do is help them get that information and data about what they are going through so that they can take better. Many people stay in places of violence because they don't know how to perceive it, what's happening to them and what they should be doing. Women take beatings from their husbands, and to take physical violence takes a lot of courage, but they don't have the courage to leave because they're frightened. And I have to tell them, look, you're already getting beaten, you're already courageous to take that physical beating. Why don't you leave if there's marpit every day? And they don't get that, So, and they stay. They're qualified women who stay in abusive marriages because they don't know better, and they don't know how to leave. And they make the money, but they still stay with the husband. So again, some people might say, so highly gender oriented, but yeah, this is the framework in which I function. So a lot of positive stories, a lot of negative stories, but we continue. I think the goal is to continue to dialogue and pursue a conversation. I remember one lady I met a few years back, and she was not working. She had tuberculosis when she was pregnant, and she said, I can't do any work. I said, you got few years back, now you're better, you can work. And she said, नहीं, मेरे को घर में अलाउ नहीं करेंगे काम करने के लिए. बोला, आप ट्राई करो, थोड़ा भी कुछ भी होएगा तो आप ट्राई करो लड़की के लिए. So we funded that girl's 5th or 6th standard. And then after some time we continue have these dialogues and discussion, and she said, दीदी आपने बोला था काम ढूंढने के लिए, मैं काम ढूंढने गई थी लेकिन मेरे को मिला नहीं. But आप ट्राई करते रहो. So every time we meet, we tell the woman, you try, continue to try to find. And then she next day, a couple of weeks later, she tells me कि मेरे को घर काम मिल गया. मैं 2 जगह में काम करती हूँ, 3,000 4,000 रुपया मेरे को महीने का मेरे को मिलेगा. And and I could see the bling on her. She had worn jewelry and she had worn nice clothes and everything. And I said, oh my God, this is like a complete transformation of what has happened. And you feel happy for the girl because I said कि मम्मी काम पे जाती है तो क्या किया? बोला मैंगो पार्टी किया. बोला बहुत मैंगो आम खाया. So, what we take for granted, this is like something which 12-year-old kid say, मैंने mango party किया. I mean, that stays with you. And then you realize कि, I don't know whether she'll be in touch with me, but I remember that mango party उसने किया था. because the mother started working and that she's got that money. So again, money is just one way in which you can combat violence. It's not the only way, because you need courage beyond money to walk away from the marriage. A lot of women have money, but they stay in a combat zone. They don't have the courage to walk away because log kya kahenge, family, bache, ye, wo, the unknown is more fearful. So parents have to teach both the men and the women, and more women, like she said, make women able. So not so much for money, but to draw that Lakshman Rekha around you so that nobody can enter into that space and violate your personal rights and your, those whatever you believe in. So I think in that way, if you are able to make women able and do so ethically, I think we'll see a remarkable change in our society.
Thank you so much, Sharika. Thank you so much, Amna. I hope you've cooled down now and you're not too much on the edge. But amazing work that you do, Sharika, with Ek Saath Foundation. It's fabulous. It must be so fulfilling. I remember this line by Shah Rukh Khan when he started Mir Foundation. He was working with these acid attack victims. And he said some very beautiful things. He's a magician with words, but he said, this is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. I mean, here is the most popular celebrity superstar from India. And he said, I feel privileged that I'm able to do this. So in many ways, you're much more privileged, and we would like to someday just come down to Mumbai and see how.
I mean, this is like, I think it's just a matter of just doing it. I mean, at your end also, because this is if this is if people are going to listen to it at your end, you can do so many things. You don't have to try and fix the world. You just need to fix your own backyard. Try and fix your own backyard. If you can do that, automatically the world will be a much better place. I think many people get lost in trying to have such lofty ideas of what the world should be like, but in their own individual ground level, they are unable to put out, put action to their words. So I would say that, step out of your house, within your own society, within 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometers, there's lots of stuff to do. And I think you could change the world for a better place. I know this is sounding very cliched and all that, but my workplace is 5 to 10 kilometers away from, and so I've seen that happen and seen that in action.
No, that's a very profound and wise thought. And we will end the episode with that. And so viewers, please like, share, and subscribe. Press the bell icon button, because only then you'll get a notification. We put in a lot of effort now in the show. We have our main jobs, Amna and me, but this is now takes up 50%. So please do, you can help us on Patreon. You can also become a member. And if you want such amazing guests to come, so, you need to help us. So tell your friends, subscribe, share, and, like, and make the backyard a better place, that small place in your home, and the world automatically will be a better place. Thank you. We had a great time, Sharika. It was good to see you, and hopefully, come down to Mumbai and just go with you and see the amazing work you do.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. I hope I could add some value and some perspective, though not as edgy as perhaps. But I mean, you really inspire me, both of you. It's great to be here. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great listening to you, actually.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.